Welcome to another rack build. It's beautiful. Okay, so guys, in this video we're going to be covering these two units over here. Built these two units to hold another unit that's going to fit on top of them. I just wanted to make two individual units so it's got a much stronger brace in the middle to support the one that's going to be sitting on top. It's to fit in a certain area, so this is the best sort of build for me. I have built these units before, many years ago. I'm thinking 12-14 years ago. They each use individual heat pads, so I'll cover all of that in this video. And you can also go higher if you want to. I have built units which hold 20 tubs, so these are two individual units holding 10 26 L Addis tubs, which work very nicely. I've had some of these units going for many years. The ones I first built are actually still running, besides a bit of swelling there because of my one staff member who left the hose pipe on and there was a leaking hole that peed all over everything. So yeah, but besides that, they work really well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you can learn a couple techniques from this build. And yeah, we're going to be housing just little baby snakes in this rack. So it's not an adult rack, not unless it's dwarf bittus or something that stays very small. So I wouldn't even say this is suitable for an adult ball python shape. They do need more space. Cool, let's dive straight into it. So let's take a look at all the components you're going to need for this build. So here we've got our tubs we're going to be using, which are 26 L Addis tubs. I see some of the guys in America also have this mold there, so it is quite a popular tub to use. And then we're going to be using these heat pads. Unfortunately, I don't think the guys in America have these. These are absolutely fantastic. I love them. So that's our heat pads we're going to be using. We've got Sikaflex for sealing all our joints. You could use a silicone as well, it's just to protect moisture from getting in there, but this is going to literally bond this unit together forever. You wouldn't even need screws with this stuff. Then we've got these 75mm caster wheels with brakes. We've got two with brakes and two without, so that we can lock the unit in place. And each one of these is rated for about 50 kilos. So yeah, we're going to be putting weight on top of this unit, so I've gone a bit heavy, but I always like to go with my 75mm, so nice height as well. And then we've got a knife here, we'll see what that comes into later, a box cutter, and obviously screws for assembling the whole unit, a heat gun. This again also going to come into later with these three things here, all involved with the tubs. Okay. So that's obviously we're making holes, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the heat gun and the blade as well. Then two drills if you have. If you don't, a little electric screwdriver. I've done it once before with a normal screwdriver. Not fun at all, let me tell you. Then you want something for spacers. So you're going to see how these are going to work later on. I think this is about 3 point something mils, which is the size sort of gap I'm looking for. And then obviously a measuring tape to check on things, a pencil or stencil. No, it's not a stencil. I can't remember the name of that thing. Anyway, and then here we've got our stoppers. These are to prevent tubs from going all the way through the back of this rack unit. We've got our tops here. And the tops we've also made our pilot holes, except for the front here. Okay, the front, obviously we're not going to have anything, so we don't want pilot holes on this side. But on the top, we might put a little thing where we can fit the thermostat, so I can always fit that in later. But for now, top and bottoms don't have that. We edge them all the way around because they're going to be visually seen from all sides, and we want to protect that wood. Electricity. Here in South Africa, that's a big thing. It's not always on. All right, and then we've got our side panels and our shelves. So side panels, we've just got the length edged and not the base and the top of it. And we've drawn pencil lines where we're going to be fitting our screws. This just makes for an easy easy assembly, and all the screws will be nice and straight. Okay, with the stoppers, I'll come back to the edging. We've only edged one length because all the other areas are going to be fitted onto the board somewhere. Okay, and then again with the shelves, also just front and back. And then they've got only one length of pilot holes because the stoppers are going to fit in under there. Cool, so that's pretty much what we'll need for the assembly. Let's get into it. Right, so it's time to start the assembly. So what I've got is one of the side pieces here, the side panels, and then the bottom. So I'm going to want to fit the side panel onto the base, which is going to give it the best structural integrity, because if I had to fit it this way around and put the screws in from here, all the weight is going to be bearing on the screws and it's just going to bust right out. Okay, it's going to bust right through like that. So always when building cages or rack units, you want to make sure you've got a solid base and that to work on. Okay. Right, so in the start of the video you didn't see, I forgot to include these screws here. Oh, it's not major. So this is going to fit on here. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a place where the screws can go there. So what I want to do, just put one of these in the pilot hole quickly, just so I can see where I am, which is going to go straight up into the unit, well, the side panel. Get this flush. I'm just going to put this wheel on. Now look, you can put the wheels on afterwards, not a problem. And turn the unit upside down, put the wheels on later. But I've already assembled a unit, and it's actually quite nice to have the wheels in that you can turn the unit around. You don't have to walk around the unit every time, you just turn the unit around. So that actually worked really nicely. So we're just going to do that again. Alright, let's move this wheel out the way. See if I can get this in here. Okay, there's very, very little space to work with this. You can use a long screw with a thicker head and just put one in here, but what I do often is I just put the little one next to it. It should find its way in. Okay, and then we're going to want to do the same at the bottom here. This is obviously a little more complicated fitting it like this than if you put the wheels on later, because I mean nothing's being held together properly as yet. So I want to see that's going to go in there. There's not much space to work in here. Okay. Right, so the nice thing about having the wheels with very long screws going into the sides is it's going to make it a little more durable and stronger. Okay, so I can feel that is pretty flush there. There we go. It has spun around a little bit. I think that's because of that there. There we go. All right. So yeah, as I say, pretty tricky fitting these. So it keeps hopping all over the place. All right. There we go. You don't want to go too hard or too tight with these screws because they can actually strip out, and then you're going to have problems. Okay. Alright, so now you can see there's a little gap here where I could maybe fit another long screw. I'm going to get that angle right, but even if I go and I screw it in at a funny angle, it's still going to help hold. Not ideal, but done this many times and it's worked pretty well for me. Okay, that worked quite nicely. Alright, so there we've got two long screws in there and the short ones just hold everything in place. And because the heads are small, they're not going to move because the other screw's in the way. So that works nice. Now, to try and do the bottom one here. This is a lot of fun. For the last one I did, because you don't have the leeway here. I guess you could always try and fit the main screws on the base before you put it on the sides like this, you know what I mean? Okay, so I'm gonna just go in here quickly. Okay, just tight. Don't want to strip that. And then this, you can see the angle I can get here is not ideal. So what I want to do is maybe just try and tilt it a bit, start it. Nope, that's going to come out the other side there. Okay, I can always do that one a little bit later as well. Yeah, because I just can't get this angle here nicely now. Okay, I'll try and lift this up. Try that angle there. Okay. Always just wants to go and follow the previous hole that was made, obviously. Not easy working like this alone. Okay. Ah, that's the one I was looking for. Yeah, that's fine. Wood's forgiving. I can just give it a little knock there to get it flush again. Okay, so then we're just going to do the same on the other side. Right, so with the other side I made a mistake. This is going to be the front, so I want to have the one with the lockable wheel in front. So we're going to fit this on quickly. Well, you see now we fit it on. You just want to make sure if you're putting a lockable wheel ones, you want those ones to be in front so you can lock that with your foot. Okay, so we're just going to fit these quick. Okay, so all wheels are on. We just want to turn this in the upright position. And then we can start adding our shelves. Okay, so we want to grab 2 tubs. Just put them on here. And then we're going to use my spacers. Now, you can get spacers cut. So if you measure how high the tub is, and you see it say it's about 15 point whatever, 15.4 or 154 millimeters, and you want a 3 millimeter gap, you just get spacers cut 3 mils longer, which you can put on the sides like I've shown in a previous video. But for this one, I didn't get those extra bits cut. So we're going to use these aluminium flat bar. And you can also use, well, you can use anything you really want to. I've also used CDs previously. So you just, like if you've got some old CDs lying around, just a CD on the corners and in the middle here. And yeah, it works perfectly well, but CDs are very thin. So it'd be nice for very thin snakes. You don't want biggish gaps. Not that these gaps are big either. But yeah, you don't want any escapees. Snakes are escape artists. Okay, so we're going to pop in a shelf. Okay, so you just come down like a 45-degree angle in. It makes it a lot easier. You can see there's quite a bit of gap there because these are wanting to go that side. But all of this is going to tie it together. Okay, so pencil. Just want to give it a little knock down to make sure it's resting properly, that you don't have a big gap. Let's just pull the side in a bit. And then we're going to draw our pencil line over here just to make sure it's there. We can see exactly where the shelf is going, because what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the shelf. Okay, we're going to remove the shelf and the tubs. And then we're going to grab our drill. Now we can see where our lines are here. Obviously you won't see too well in the video, but there's my line coming down here and my line going across. And I want to drill just underneath this line, so it's 16 mil, which would be about there. I want to be somewhere in the middle. I'll drill a nice pilot hole. Also, the problem with black, it's hard to see a pencil line, but I'm able to see it right. Okay, so this is very wobbly at the moment, but as I say, when everything comes together, it's going to be nice and solid. Okay, so that's that side. The light is not as good on this side, but I can still see where we are here. Okay, so right there. Okay, now you can see what a mess is happening when I'm drilling. So we don't want to silicone any of the gaps while this is going on, which I've done in previous videos. So I tend to jump around a little bit. Mine's all over the place. And with videoing, you're trying to think of everything. You want to cover all bases. All right, and then I'm just going to clean this dust off. I'm just F10ing in a cloth here. Alrighty. Okay, I don't want to rub too high up because I'm going to just take all my lines off. Also, a problem with black is you see all the dust and everything. It's like a car. If it's a black car, it shows quite a lot. But yeah, most of my rims, now the branding of my business is black with some green color and so on. So yeah, I like to stick with the black ones. Plus, if it's white, you see all these other dirty marks and it gets pretty horrible. But I mean, this can always be cleaned out. Now, I shouldn't have made these holes in the back here. Again, that's my mistake because there's nothing going here. I mean, you could put a brace at the bottom, but it's going to obviously get in the way of the wheels over here. But I mean, a brace could go from there. But it's not going to be a problem. I'll just fill those holes with silicone. It'll be fine. Okay. Okay, so let's grab our tubs again and pop them in. Put them up against the side walls. And then our spacers. Okay, so I mean, there's other ways you can do it. If you've got your other pre-cut spaces, then what you can do is just put them here. You can see where your line would be and drill the holes and everything. And see, this is again where I'm getting ahead of myself because this is the exact time when we should do the silicone. Oh, the Sikaflex. Okay, so just nice steady pressure. We're going to put a nice bead in the gap over here, or in the corner. Perfect. Make sure we don't get silicone stepped in everywhere all over the floor, which I've done previously. Then a bit of spit on the finger, works like a charm, and just gentle pressure and smooth it out. Beautiful, works every time. You get tools for doing this as well, but to be honest, I found that this actually works the best for me. So each to their own. Okay, we're going to bring these back, put them in the corners. Now they won't get into the silicone because they taper inside, so I don't have to stress about getting silicone or Sikaflex all over the tubs. Okay. Alright, now we're ready for the shelf. Okay, so we go in like a nice 45-degree angle, and then we can just drop it in place. You want to make sure that it's seated nicely. It's not sitting up on anything. Okay, so as I say, we've got a bit of play with these, but as soon as we screw these ones in, that's not longer going to be the problem. Okay, so it moves so nice and easily on the wheels. You just want to grab our 3 screws. Now when drilling your pilot holes, you want to select a bit that if you hold the bit in front of the screw, you can still see the thread. So you literally just want something that's in the middle here, a drill bit that thick, but it won't cover the thread. If it covers the thread and you can't see the screw behind the drill bit, it's too big. Okay, so you see these fit in here perfectly. That's exactly what you want. Okay, so where's the front? I'm going to start with the front. Okay, I want to make sure we get this nice and flush. Make sure that it's where it should be. Okay. Yeah, so I'm doing all of this with a GoPro on my head. I hope I'm getting everything right here. You guys not having to tilt your phones and screens and all of that. Okay, a little more. Oh, I want that nice and flush. Okay, gentle pressure in the middle. Okay, so now if this unit wasn't on wheels, I'd have to get up now, go to the other side. Oh, but this is so nice and easy. Just give it a nice full 180 and then we can carry on. Okay. Right, so again, just want to make sure that this is sitting nice and flush. There we go, flush and flush. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit gentle pressure again. Hey, it's gone hammer mode. There we go. All right, now we want to put in the back stopper. You see, if we don't have a stopper and you close the tub and it goes like this, there goes your snake. So we want to put in the stopper here. Just lock these in a bit. And now the reason I go with a stopper is because we still haven't added the heating yet. I'm going to do that last. And if I need to replace the heating pads, I can always get in here, I can work here, and so on. So this is the exact reason I go with stoppers and not a solid back that covers the whole unit here. All right. Again, we'll probably start down at angle here. See, it's quite a bit of work to get this in here. Why is it so tight? Can I just pull it in the middle of a smidge? Oh, this is the tightest one yet. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, that's why as well. A piece of aluminium is sitting in the way here. There we go. I just need to move that aluminium bar out the way. That's why it wasn't closing up here nicely. There we go. Okay, let's get all our screws in place. And then we're just going to drop these in, and then you pretty much just continue like that until you get to the top. All right, so I'm going to start in the middle. Just make sure we get it nice. I just need a bit of white. There we go. That's perfect. That's the nice thing about the black color. You can see if it's quite not 100% lined up. And see also with being 5 centimeters in here, got space for the drill, and then when you go too close, you're going to have problems. So 5 centimeters with your pilot holes is best. Okay. Yep, left that behind. Alrighty. Okay, and you can see already the side panels and everything, just the one piece in makes a huge difference. One shelf has made this so much more rigid. Okay. Let's just swing it around quickly and see how get these tubs out. We'll pop them on the next level. Okay. Oh, let's first check here. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, nice and easy. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, this is not going to be housing little colubrids. This is more for boids and other thick-bodied little babies. Okay. Okay. Alright, so then again, we're just going to repeat that process until we're all the way up at the top. Let's do this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the two fins here. So we're going to slightly edit this container. And we're doing that in a way so that the heat pads which we're going to be fitting on the shelves will be able to slide underneath this container. Alright, I came up with this concept, I don't know, a good 10-12 years ago or something. And I've still got some of those rack units running today, so it works really nice. Now it's just a thing of removing these. You can take a blade and go, just scour across it here and slowly work your way through. It is pretty painstaking, but at least not too dangerous. If it's extremely sharp, it can cut through. But with a lot of pressure you're going to have to use, you could slip, you could end up cutting yourself, hurting yourself really badly. So other ways that I have tried in the past is using an angle grinder and just angle grinding this all away. It gets a bit messy, like the plastic starts to melt and go, and if you slightly skew it eats through and you end up with a hole in the tub. So I'm not a huge fan of it. And then another thing that works quite nicely in fact is a belt sander, where you just take a belt sander and just sand right through it down to that level. But recently I found a really nice little hack, and that is what we're going to do is just scour it a little bit here on both sides, just so that we make a space for the blade to go through. And we're going to take our heat gun. It can take a while to heat up, but what you want to look for is the color of the plastic will start going clearer. Will go more see-through. You should see it start happening soon. Here we go. And when that happens, we know it's pretty good, ready to go. Now you don't want to go too much because then your whole container can warp. Okay, let's see how we go. What we're going to do is just cut a little triangle out here quickly, just to make space for the blade so that we can get more down there and cut at this level. Okay, just go nice and slow, but look how easily it goes. You can often get it going all in one go. Okay, that's pretty decent. Okay, and then again from here I'm going to go with another triangle out. Okay, and then just try and get it flush and pull it along. It goes so nice and gentle. It's pretty easy, well, slow and steady. It's not super easy, it does still take a bit of pressure, but nowhere near as much as if it was cold. It's very dangerous if you're trying to pull this blade through when it's cold. As I say, you can really hurt yourself badly. So if there's any little areas which are sticking up a little bit, you can just go over those. Make sure it's nice and flush. Here's a little bit standing up here still. There we go. Okay, so there's also like little areas for feet or wheels these things have, so I normally cut it from there because you don't have to try and remove that as well, and that's enough space to work with. And you can just drag the blade over it if you want to get rid of any funny little bits. So yeah, that is actually working really well, nice and smooth, not too frustrating or anything. Cool, next step. Right guys, so the next step is to do our vent holes. Now you want to take into consideration where you've made the hot spot by cutting out for the heat pads. Alright, so this is going to be our cool side, that's going to be the hot side, and then we're just going to go with a random pattern here. You can use a template, but I've kind of got over that. I just go by sight now, and just, it doesn't really matter, you're not going to notice these holes. You obviously just want to make sure that you've got enough for ventilation. Now guys, ventilation is extremely important. It's a lot of the time it's not in any care sheets or anything like that. I think it's just as important as heating and humidity and things like that. Ventilation is key. A lot of snakes only have one lung, so it's very important that they could get good ventilation. Okay, so this is going to be our warm side, and then we're going to do our cool side over here. So with the cool side, I'm actually going to add a few more holes. So now, as I was saying, if you want to use a template, you can. The only problem is if you use like permanent mark or something to do your little dots where you want them, they end up melting into the plastic and you get this horrible black melted holes here. So you can just go as you want to. As I say, you're not really going to see it. And I like this pattern, works nicely for me. And because this is the cool side, I'm going to add more ventilation so that we get a lot of airflow to the cool side. Okay, that should do it. That should be enough air holes. Let's say that is enough air holes, but depending what species you keep in, you want to make sure you got enough. Cool. Make sure you do this in well ventilated area. You can see it melting plastic. Maybe wear a mask as well. Definitely want to do this outdoors or something. Yeah, so we're going to fit the heat pads now. So you can see the heat pads are going to slide just underneath here. And we're just going to stick them down. Now obviously you want to make sure that our spacing and everything's 100%. You're going to want it in there. So what I've done is I've made a template. So I'll just push the tubs in. I'll grab my template. And this template can be used for this side. Or flip it over, can be used for that side. So here's the template here. I'll just line it up flush with the back and the side. Then nice thing about these heat pads, like a lot of heat pads, they've got this peel and stick. Now the reason I'm using foil heat pads, I find these are a lot safer. If these wires short or anything happens, they just pop and they don't work anymore. Whereas with some of these laminated heat pads, which are meant to go underneath glass tanks and need to be well protected, if you've got a tub that's going to go rub on top of it, it's going to get damaged, it could short, and that can cause a fire. And a little spark and some fire mixed with plastic, oh man, you're in big trouble. I've seen some horrible things back in the day. Okay, so I'm just going to line the back up here. It's nice and straight. These heat pads are all made in a template thing of their own. See, it is gone a little bit skew, so I'm just going to pull it this way, lay it down. Okay, all right, and then just make sure that we're putting it down really well. Just rub my finger between all the grooves. And also you want to make sure your shelves are nice and clean, as if they're super dusty. these heat pads are not going to stick very well. Okay, I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. This GoPro, I never know what I'm filming. Okay. Alright, so you just fit it like that. It's not going to go anywhere. And as you can see, the tub slides nicely over that. So I always keep the tub to the side because you don't want to push it skew. As you can see, then this is going to start making problems. So you push it, it's nice and straight in. You could also have a guide in the middle here so that they can't maneuver, but never really had a problem. Okay, so we're going to continue with all these heat pads. Unfortunately, these ends are not as long as they used to be, because then I'll just take the two that would meet in the middle. So we'll just have to have a little piece of wire extending to each one. But cool, we'll get all to that now. Let's just get all the heat pads in place. So heating's all fitted. So what I'm doing here, after we put all the heat pads in, I've got the thermostat sitting over there, or the dimmerstat. I decided to go with that box unit because it's just going to fit in here easier. And the probe is also a bit longer. So the probe comes here. I've got a bit of piece of heat shrink that I put on. I cut the cable and soldered it. And I soldered it in this way so that these two ends can never touch, otherwise it's just going to give you an error that there's something wrong with the probe. And the reason I cut the wire is because you can't get the wire through this little hole. It's got quite a large size probe on the end. So you can also extend it if you need to. Just try and use very similar wire. If you go too long with a wire, it can give you some false readings. And anyway, so power is coming from here and we're connecting in parallel, not in series. So that means in series the power would be going through the heat pad, coming out of the heat pad, going into another heat pad. That will not work with these heat pads, because they're 9 watts and then they're only going to get 9 watt and it's not going to power them properly. So they need full current. So we've got full current coming in here and it's hopping from here to there, and we just continue all the way through. Now the one problem with doing it this way is that if you've got a faulty connection going on here, you're going to have no heating the rest of your unit. But make sure you got your connections on properly. I've never had a problem with that anyway. You could have the odd heat pad that pops. Now if this heat pad gives out, all your other heat pads are going to start cooking, but it's not powerful enough to harm your animals. When you come and check on them, you'll see, whoa, something's gone wrong here. And then you also want to go with like a temp gun or have thermometers in each of your enclosures to see what sort of temperatures you're getting. Now you can screw these in if you want to. You can see I just put a screw there, so you could actually screw that in. But there's very, very little, if any, tension on the wires. So I haven't had a problem with this. Moving the rack around, obviously it could rip it or something. And you don't want to cut those steel pins off there. So you want to make sure of all your connections. And look, I'm not an electrician, so do not copy what I've done here. If you're not happy with it, it's at your own risk. If you have got an electrician friend, rather get them to come in and do it. It's with any household goods or wiring. It's always best to get an electrician to do your work. But doing it like this, I've never had a problem. Touch wood. Okay, so then we can check around the front here. Just turn the units on. Make sure they're all working. So as I say, these are just going to sit here nicely. And then this tub where we fitted the probe. Now I'll fit the probe on the inside because that's going to give me a more accurate reading. I could fit it onto the heat pads or something. These are a bit too large, so it might actually scrape the underneath of the tub and become a problem. So I'll fit them on the inside. It's going to be a more accurate reading. And they are fitted to this tub. I can get the tub all the way out of the rack, but I'd have to like spray water and wash and clean it here, where the others obviously you can walk away with them. Now I've used this foil tape. This is the only tape you want to use if you're using it to stick anything down that's going to get warm, because it doesn't come off easily and it doesn't get all tacky. You use some other tapes, it's going to get all tacky and sticky, and then your snake comes along, gets stuck to that, big problems. This aluminium foil tape, never ever had a problem. Really good stuff. The only thing I would use in this instance. So if you do fit the probe on the heat pad at the back there, you can set a differential on many thermostats for like 2-3 degrees for what is in the tub, but certain times of the year and temperatures during the day, you're probably going to get a different reading. So I fit it on the inside. I mean, I could even leave this tub empty as a control tub, but I mean, if my rack is full, I'll put a special little critter in there and know that he's got all the correct temps and everything. All right, so that's them all wired up. Yeah, excuse the mess. Got to get on that now. All right, so what you might also find is that at the lower enclosures, because there's no heat raising from the bottom, they're going to be a bit cooler, but I mean, it's like minimal, hey, it's not massively a problem. So with some cases, I'll keep like milk snakes or corn snakes or something that likes a bit cooler than the boas and things in the middle. Maybe the top might also be a bit cooler because it's not getting heat from a heat pad on the top. But we're talking like minor differences. It's not massive, and heat does rise, so it is going to give different temperatures like that. Cool. So always make sure you got really good connections, no wires sticking out or anything like that. That's going to be fire hazards if things short and you don't have proper earth leakage. And this wire is 0.75, which is pretty good for this job. I don't really deal with anything too much thinner than that. These units have been running for about an hour now, just to test that everything's working smoothly. So I set them at 28.5 degrees, so this one's spot on, and this one's just 0.1 out now. The worst they get is 0.2 degrees out, which is very good. They're extremely accurate. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this unit came out. I hope you guys got a lot of useful tips with this build. And yeah, please do give us a like or leave a comment, and please do subscribe. We'll have a lot more content coming out soon.